Good evening, everyone, and welcome to SOTS 2017. For those who are new to the channel or not aware of this, and there are a few of you who are new, we did have a little bit of growth here in the last year. Not too much, but a little bit. SOTS is my attempt to compete with the current President of the United States, releasing every year on the night of the State of the Union address. This is my State of the Sasquatch address for the year 2017. I believe this is the third year in a row I've done this. I could be wrong. If not, most people won't go back and check. So, good luck with that. Yes. So, life is fun in that regard. Tonight we'll be addressing 4 separate areas of life. I view these to be the 4 key areas of all life, or at least all human life. I guess, some animals, don't have to worry too much about most of these things. But they are things that I will be addressing here tonight, whatever you want to call it. We're good. All right. So, first things first. As I live my life, I like to start with the current state of my faith. I've seen a little bit of growth this past year. That's going to be this has been an interesting year. Let's just start and tell the story. So, for those of you who were here last year, you are aware that about this time, last year, I was assisting a small home missions church very near to me, as well as working in my own church, teaching Sunday school, singing, yada, 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 things like that. That home missions church I was helping to run, I was preaching there, just getting a lot of experience and very good hands-on experience in helping these people out. And unfortunately, in March of this last year, 2016, that church was shut down due to some managerial disputes. I had nothing to do with them. Like I said, I was only helping. I was not actually managing anything, and it wasn't actually even the park manager here who shut us down. It was the corporate offices who came in and closed us down, which was very, very very disappointing, because it was a good church. We were growing. We were averaging about 30 people. We'd grown from like 5 to 30. It was amazing just how quickly that had sprung up. Fortunately, all those people have been absorbed into other smaller works, but from other people, so that's a good news for that. But yeah, it's just really disappointing to have that shut down so quickly and so abruptly. It was only going for about 5 months, so I was very disappointed in that. Also, not just because of how nice it was to go, but also because of how good of an opportunity it was for me as well to be able to go into and to get that experience in preaching and singing and teaching and all kinds of anything else that they would allow me to do, which I was only too happy to volunteer to do. This past year, I also had an opportunity to go to Greenland on a missions trip. It has been far too long since I was last able to go on a missions trip. It was 6 years in 2016 since I was able to go to Madagascar back in 2010. That's a long time, and I understand that I was sick during a good portion of that time, but it was good to not be in the United States. Oh, it was so good. I cannot even begin to describe how pleasant it was to be away from all this and just in a place where I could just focus entirely on serving God and, serving other people, serving God by serving other people. It was just a great experience helping start a church there. I got a little nervous because when we got back, we couldn't get in touch with any of the people who we had been ministering with. Fortunately, the communication there has been restored since then. Such an awesome experience. We went through expecting 15 people, maybe 15 people. And it ended up turning into over 50 people turned up over the course of 3 days. And it became termed as the first South Greenland Pentecostal conference. It was fantastic. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Apostolic Pentecostal, and that's the particular brand or variation on the Christian faith to which I ascribe. And so it was the first ever South Greenland Pentecostal Conference, and it was amazing. We had over 50 people turn up. We connected with a pastor there who had been there preaching and teaching and building a church on his own for over 40 years with no outside help, no connection to anybody else, and now he's not by himself anymore, which is awesome. When I came back from Greenland, as I was coming back from Greenland, I kind of pulled over the two elder missionaries who went with me, and I asked them a very pointed question, like, hey, I've helped you out, we've done all this kind of stuff, I've done anything that I could to assist in this endeavor, and I did get to preach a couple times, and I was going to be able to sing, but that didn't end up turning out as well. That didn't end up turning up. I just asked them, like, what lack I yet? What am I still missing in terms of being able to, be a more effective minister? And they said, just get a lot more experience. And so I'm currently looking for more opportunities. Since coming back, I've had a few, not too many, but a couple. And I'll be referencing those a little bit later on. In terms of the just days in, day ins, and day outs, I have continued my Bible reading plan from last year, where in 2015, I read the Bible through 5 times. I did that also again in 2016, and I'm currently on pace to do that again in 2017. Maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how that goes. Also, in a couple months ago, well, not even a couple months ago, about a month and a half ago, we had a evangelist come through our church, and he taught on morning prayer, which I had been praying every day before, but he taught about praying in the morning. And I'll be honest, there's not many things that I have done in my Christian walk which have so drastically revolutionized that walk than changing my prayer time from just before bed to as soon as I get up in the morning, or actually adjusting the time that I get up in the morning to reflect the proper prayer time. By doing that, not only have I had more effective prayer at my scheduled prayer time, but I'm finding myself more conscious of just praying in general across the entire spectrum of my day. And so there are many more times a day that I'll just find myself in a spirit of prayer to just go and whatever comes to mind, whatever Lord lays on my heart, just pray about it right then and there, which has not been my experience in anywhere near that extent. I've certainly called to prayer before, but never in quite so great and frequent a measure as I am right now. So great strides forward have been made in terms of my personal faith. However, I will say again that very disappointed that church did get shut down. Like I said, I'm still looking for more places to preach, but yeah, just life's rough sometimes. I want to address my friends and my family. My family had a couple things happen this year. Probably the biggest thing that happened is my dad, after having worked for Lord only knows how long as a truck driver, was forced to stop that employment. He has Graves' disease and is not able, and Graves' disease affects people's eyes. He's not like in danger of dying or anything, so don't freak out about that. It just affects his eyes a little bit to a great enough extent that he is not able to continue to perform the safe driving of large vehicles as he has done in the past. He used to be a truck driver, but this last year he was forced to give that up and to seek out other employment, which he was not happy about, but maybe getting happy again very soon. Actually, I think in 7 days from today, being the 28th, I think it's the 7th that he has an interview to actually be a miniature locomotive operator, which he is a huge fan of trains and all things like that. So the opportunity to be able to do that is something which obviously has him incredibly excited, which is good because he's put in a lot of hours over the years. So I think he deserves to have the ability to do something which might be considered, for him at least, leisure activity. So and he still gets he is still allowed to be paid money for it, so even better. We also moved. We moved about 600 feet, although in that move I came to the rather inescapable conclusion that I definitely need to... It's convenient to stay at home. It is. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to that, but it's coming to the point rather quickly, I believe, where I will have to cease living with my family, I've been given an invitation by a friend of mine who you all know and who is also actually watching. Not sure that's the right way to go, but offer to move in with him and just share expenses kind of stuff, which it's an interesting thought for sure, but I'm not sure that's really how I ought to go. That'll be one I have to really pray on, go back to faith for a second. During this last year, I also got to go, I don't want to say I got to go on a trip, because it didn't really. I just kind of stayed here. But the friend who I went to Minnesota with in 2015, he actually came to Michigan at the start of 2016, and we took a day trip up to Frankenmuth, which is it's a great place to visit Michigan if you ever come. Just a lot of fun stuff that happened. Not really any great strides forward family-wise. Just we had a couple things that kind of tried to beat us down. Like I said, my dad having to give up being a truck driver, and some other stuff happened. But just we've come through it, and things are looking up again, which is a good thing. Something else that's looking up, moving on to the fitness portion of this, and I may stay here for a little bit, is my weight. I've gained 10 pounds since last year, which I'm not happy about at all, and there are things I could have done differently to either not have done that or to have actually lost weight. But at the same time, I'm not really unhappy with my current physical state in terms of, gaining versus losing weight, because I also have better muscle tone right now than I've ever had in my entire life. I can actually see that I have them, which is a huge thing. I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm a pretty strong guy. I've been able to do a lot of stuff over the years just based off the size, just how big I am and how much force I'm able to generate through that size. But this is the first year that I've actually been able to just be at rest and have a visibly recognizable sign that I am actually in shape and working out or have muscles. And it's like, oh, this is amazing, but I still kind of wish I hadn't gained those 10 pounds. So basically, I have lost no fat. I have just gained muscle, which is a really weird place to be at. I will say this, though, that since, this was over the course of all last year. There was all kinds of just, the process of, bulking and cutting and trying to make all this stuff work out. And just a massive, massive hassle. A productive hassle, but a massive hassle. But I will admit I've lost a little bit of motivation since the turning over of the year. I don't know why. There's things that just stop you from working out. If you're sick, you need to focus on getting better. Don't strain your body because you'll end up hurting yourself, either through bad form brought up by fatigue, or through just overtaxing of your body, and you literally can just collapse from that. Not to say that any of my workouts are necessarily that strenuous. I try and get them to that point, but they're not necessarily that strenuous on their own. So there's a lot of excuses that could be made, but I'm not going to make them. I'm just going to say that I've lost some motivation since January, and I need to get that back. So I am considering doing something else additional on this channel to create a bit of accountability, perhaps, to all of you, that I'm going to do better in 2017 and actually try and get that weight back down. Because muscle is good, but if you just keep maintaining the same amount of fat along with it, it's not a very good balance. Particularly around the middle. Something else that happened, I forgot to mention this in the faith portion. I got to go to, and well, I won't say I got to. I got recruited to be, not even recruited. I got drafted to be a counselor at a youth camp this year, which was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. I had no intention of doing anything like that. I didn't want to do anything like that, but they needed somebody, and they didn't have anybody else. And so I got drafted into doing it. I literally got a phone call from my sister, who was the camp secretary, and she says, "We need a counselor for the camp here. Basically, when can you get down here so we can get this so we can get you signed in?" I'm like, I didn't say I was coming. She goes, you're coming. So I ended up going. It was actually a fantastic time. I really got to connect with a lot of these kids, and it was fortunately, it was like the senior high level, so it was like 14 and up. So these were actually like intelligent human beings. I don't deal with kids in my normal life. I specifically and intentionally and fervently avoid dealing with small children. So being able to, well, I guess not really so much being able to, but having to be there with those older kids was a lot more doable than having to deal with just children. Ugh, children. Ugh. Do not like children. That's just me. But like I said, the ones who were there, we got to just have an amazing time. Really, just in the spirit of the first night there, the power went out in the sanctuary. Just sort of going into service, and the power of God just swept into that place, and everyone started to just pray and to sing and to come together, and without any preaching, they just stayed there in the tabernacle with no air conditioning in 87-degree weather with 100% humidity, and just prayed for over 2.5 hours straight, just the entire congregation. It was amazing to see that happen, to see young kids come in with that level of dedication and just fervency for God. It was just an awesome time. All right, now getting into the part that probably most of you are interested in, and I kind of lump this together because I like I said, I do everything in my life is based off of these 4 things: faith, family, fitness, and finance. And so finance is where actually the YouTube channel would fall under, because at some point it may actually produce some finances. It hasn't yet, but it may at some point, which would be nice. I would not turn that down. But this year is the first time that I have actually had multiple sources of income. The first one, of course, still being my financial services business that I've been running now for over 8 years. And this was the first year that I really gave serious thought to just shutting it all down. And I'm going to be really honest, because there was several points throughout the year where I've been on again, off again, focused on it. Since I started, there was almost 3 years where I didn't do anything because I was sick and I couldn't. But this year was one of the years where I just really focused in, and I did everything that I could, and the results that I needed from it didn't even come close to materializing. So many times this year I was counting on the work that I was putting in producing results, and it didn't. I mean, there were results that happened, but just nowhere near what they needed to be. And so I've become very discouraged with that, and that's not a good state for me to be in, I don't think. So I don't think anybody ought to be in a state of discouragement. And so I would not recommend for any reason that people stay in a place of discouragement. I mean, it's not that I'm discouraged with the company. The company is good. It's just I've become very disillusioned with the people that I've been trying to work with, and it has not necessarily been a very positive year in that regard. Fortunately, and unfortunately, I've been able to gain some additional sources of income. As I've said before, I'll reference this again. I have been able to pick up some preaching opportunities, and some of those preaching opportunities have allowed me to be paid for speaking. I don't necessarily know why people are paying me to speak, because I don't particularly think I'm very good, but they have been, and I have been very appreciative when I have allowed them to do it. Secondly, I have a friend of mine who last year approached me about helping him out for a while with his medical transport company, and I have been trying to do a little bit of help with that as well. Not a fan of doing it. It is not fun work. I meet nice people through it, but it's not something that I intend on doing in any way, shape, or form for a long period of time. I am constantly seeking ways to get out of that. So, yeah. Also, but in regards to that, I've also put in an application. I believe I've mentioned this before. I put in an application to a talent agency to start doing voice work. I know that a lot of you are probably very familiar with my voice acting monologues on this channel, as those are actually getting more views than anything else I've been putting out the last several months, which I'm okay with. I really, really appreciate people sticking around and watching those. I know some of them are not great, but the ones that are, I really appreciate all the engagement that I've been getting on there, and comments and likes and everything, and shares, and playing it on streams that I know has happened recently. So thank you guys for watching those. I'm also looking into getting onto a like a talent enhancing website like Fiverr or something like that. I haven't done any of that yet, but I'm looking into it as a potential way to get some additional income on the side. Just like small jobs, people want you know, a funny voicemail intro or voicemail thing. They can send in like $5 and I'll give them a 15-20 second you know, voicemail over voiceover, whatever it is. Or perhaps maybe even get into some sort of like very, very small indie development game where I can actually get a decent sized paycheck out of doing voice work, because voice work is something I'm finding I have a great deal of appreciation and love for. It is by far the most fun thing that I do every single week, doing those monologues. It is just, it's entrancing to the mind to be able to get in there and start learning characters and pulling them out and finding the not only the tonality, but like just the emotion behind why they're saying what they're saying, and trying to convey that in my own way, or as it has been done before. So much fun. Like I said, by far the most fun thing I've been doing all this year. I'm very glad I started that, and those will be continuing probably indefinitely, because there's always more movies being made. There's always more fun stuff out there to be doing. I'm also looking into, for my YouTube channel, getting into some sort of like a movie review sort of thing. I'm not 100% sure on how I'm going to do that yet, because another thing that was a lot of fun was when I did my Rogue One review. I know nobody watched it, but I just really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Movies are something that I just generally enjoy, and being able to talk with them and nerd out of them is just so much fun. And I started to really get into understanding how movies are made, how they're put together, how they are, how they're made, and how some things make movies better than some other movies. So a little bit of reviewing may come into my channel in a slightly more regular aspect, but I'm not to that point yet. I still need to figure out how I'm going to do it. Also, and this is the kind of the big finale for all this. I thought I was going to be doing this for a little bit longer, but I just received word that I'm going to have to, you know, move on and do some other things in the very near future. So, going to try and speed through this as quickly as possible, while still giving it the proper amount of respect and appreciation. 2 weeks ago, my good friend Kuya, and I will say good friend, perhaps even best friend, Mr. Kuya, who again, links in the description down below. Check out his channel and his Beam account. He streams 5 days a week, and some of those streams I'm even there for. Like I was yesterday, Monday, because Monday's Monster Hunter Monday. People who enjoy the Typical podcast, people who enjoyed it, go check those out, because it's not the same content, it's not anywhere near like that content, but it is in the same vein as that content, where we're playing Monster, we're talking, we're having fun, it's good. Anyway, laying that aside, you should go check him out. He decided to take it upon himself 2 weeks ago to help me purchase a computer, which is something that I am already in the process of doing, of getting it together. I wasn't sure what parts I was going to use or anything to that effect, but I knew I was going to be getting a computer this year, and likely this coming month in March. And he took it upon himself. He says, well, it's taking too long, so I'm going to raise money for you, and he did. And so, despite the fact that I told him repeatedly not to, and despite the fact that I told him repeatedly that I did not want his help or need his help or anything else like this, he's done it. It's already passed. So I will say very heartfelt and a very appreciative and a very grateful thank you. But don't you ever do this again. No, stop. You're done. this is already like 5 times too much, or 50,000 times too much, stop. You're done. You are good. You have proven your friendship. You have done whatever it is that you were trying to set out to do. You have created paths for us to play together in a more frequent, in a more conducive way. Stop. Thank you. To all the people who donated, especially to the anonymous donor who decided to match all donations made up to $250, who I still don't know who you are, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to know. You want to be anonymous? I'm 100% okay with that. Thank you, sir, whoever you are. Apparently you like my content. At least that's what I was told. I have been told that you were not Kuya, and I believe him for a number of reasons. So I'm going to say that no, it is not Kuya who did it. So whoever you are, anonymous donor, thank you very much. Thank you to Masters. Thank you to Sasquatch. Thank you to ISO. Thank you to all the people who donated to help make this happen. Thank you to all of you, very heartfeltly, very gratefully. And may I give you all something very, very true from my heart in return, the very great recommendation that you all start an IRA. Please put your money in something better than a middling and a lower middle class tier YouTuber who, yeah, just use something better with your money. Remember, my primary source of income right now is still financial. Is still financial services. So people just throwing money at me, it's like, don't do that. Just do something smarter with your money. Do something better with your money. Thank you for it. Thank you very much for your help. Now help yourselves, please. Anyway, I'll get off that. So, thank you very much, everyone, for contributing, for donating, for helping me out. It is very appreciated. Wasn't necessary, but it is appreciated. So thank you. And I think that's about it. That covers pretty much everything that I need to cover. Again, this is kind of like a record video that I do every year. It's a accounting of the past. It's a look forward to the future. There are things I'm planning to do in the future on my channel that I can't really get into here because I just don't have a full, firm idea of how I'm going to pull them off. Especially now that I have a new computer, there's a lot more open, or I'm going to have a new computer rather than this 12-year-old rock that I heat up sometimes to make it glow. There's going to be a lot greater ability to do things. I may get into streaming. There's a lot of stuff that I just don't have a firm grasp on what I will or will not be able to do yet. So when I do know that, when I do have a better grasp on that, a better understanding, there will be future updates to that. So for the moment, I thank you all again for your watching, for your patience, for your continued support, not just financially, but also just viewing videos, commenting, liking, being around, supporting this channel. We're small. We're really, really small. But we can get bigger. We can grow. And even if we don't, I'm still okay with that. This is what I do for fun. This is my decompression. This is what I do to just kind of let the world fall away and just do something for me. And I understand that a lot of you, the few of you who are watching, that this is also of some benefit to you. I'm not sure what benefit, but it is of some benefit to you. I trust that. For that, I thank you for coming and allowing me to have an audience to do this. So thank you again very much for that. And with that, I will say, God bless you all. This has been the State of the Sasquatch address for 2017. I was attempting to compete with Donald Trump. I think I lost. Pretty sure I lost. 99.999% sure I lost. Because this hasn't gone up yet, but I'm pretty sure I lost. He's going to far exceed me in terms of viewership, but that's okay. So, thank you all again for watching. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.